Hey, it's your friendly neighborhood potato witch. Welcome to the show. You might be able to tell from my channel at this point that I really enjoy RPGs. But what might be a little less obvious is that I also really enjoy chill life sims too. Stuff like Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley, My Time at Portia, that sort of thing. They're fun, they're relaxing, they're a chance to do things at my own pace without feeling like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. They're nice and wholesome, and gosh diddly darn it, they're just so good. I had my sights set on Little Dragon's Cafe for a while, but it wasn't until recently that I really got the chance to play it. It's sort of a life sim, but I think it might be better to describe it as more of a management sim, just with a laid-back feel and a fantasy flavor. Still nice, definitely wholesome, but occasionally frustrating enough to make you want to beat your head off a wall. The story starts out with the age-old choice. Are you a boy or a girl? I picked girl, cause, look at her, she's just so freaking cute. Named her after myself, cause why not? But, oh, I get a helper too? Cool! I'll give the helper my partner's nickname, so it's like we're playing the game together. Oh, the helper is my in-game brother. Well, this just got awkward. The story starts out with my mother running a cafe and her two kids helping her. But one day she falls ill due to the dragon blood she apparently has in her family line, and you know what? Already I have so many questions. My mother's half dragon? Am I 1/4 dragon? Also half? 3/4? Some other fraction? Who is my dad? And did he know he hooked up with a half-dragon? Did my mom hatch from an egg? Okay, she seems to know what's going on, so why didn't she ever think to actually sit her kids down and prepare them for this inevitable event? So many questions. So anyway, my mom's unconscious and won't wake up, and then this little old guy who definitely isn't a wizard just blammos into the room and is all, "Hi, surprise, your mom's part dragon and her dual nature is causing some problems." Wait, is that a poop staff? Is this old not a wizard holding a staff that has a big old turd on the end? Who would do that? So not a wizard, whose name is Pappy, says that the only way to bring harmony to my mom's blood types is to hatch a dragon's egg and raise the resulting dragon to be a strong, healthy, draconic adult, and that will help cure my mom because science! So many questions. With my brother and my newly hatched dragon friend, whom I name Prooms because one of my cats has that nickname and I joke that sometimes she's part dragon, it's up to us to run the cafe while my mom gets better. I look like I'm about 10 years old, and 10-year-olds can go off on grand Pokemon adventures, so surely that's a good age for someone to run a business, right? Fortunately, Prince and I aren't alone in trying to run the cafe. Pretty soon we get some colorful personalities helping out, like Billy, the slacker musician, Ipanema, the woman who goes Super Saiyan whenever she gets pissed off, and Lucola, the orc who loves to cook. Most of Little Dragon's Cafe is pretty repetitive, but that does make it a pretty chill game overall, similar to a lot of the life sim games that I mentioned earlier. You go out and collect ingredients and recipes, you help out around the cafe, you raise up your dragon, you go through the days waiting for your mother's blood to figure itself out and let her wake up again. There's this quirky charm to Little Dragon's Cafe that I couldn't help but love. The art style reminds me a lot of coloring with colored pencils, that texture where you can see the direction that the colors were applied in, which lends it this sort of childlike appeal that's nothing if not comforting. But that's not the only quirky aspect that makes me feel like it came from a child's understanding of the world. I mentioned that you gather ingredients to cook with, and there are really only a few things that you can gather ingredients from. Most vegetables you get from bushes, and those bushes yield multiple types of produce. Oh, cool, I got a cabbage and an onion from the same plant. This isn't at all strange. So it follows with other ingredients. Salt and sugar come from the same place, this rock formation here gives me curry powder and cream sauce, mowing down patches of grass might give you spinach, or it might give you a lemon. Honestly, the only thing that makes sense is catching different types of fish from the same fishing spot. The rest is just like, yeah, vegetables come from plants, so here's a plant that gives you vegetables. Any vegetables. All the vegetables! You do also have a garden right outside the cafe, and while you can't really plant things there to control what grows, you do get regular harvests of all the ingredients that you've encountered. When you've only found a few things, you get a lot of those things from the garden, but when you found a whole lot of different things, the garden only gives you a couple of bits of everything. Useful if you're trying to stock up on some rare ingredients that can only be found in harder to access places, but if you're running low on something common like cabbage, then the garden's really not going to help you much in the end, and you'll just be better off running around and picking things off bushes again. You can get the harvest to come in a little faster though by putting down some dragon manure, and yes, you did just hear that correctly. Dragon poop. It does a garden good. Though, for some reason, the game devs decided to make my dragon poop where it sleeps, and that's just... why? Why would you do that? Anyway, you also collect recipe fragments, which Pappy can put back together and turn into a proper recipe because I guess 4 ripped up pieces of paper are too difficult to reassemble without the use of magic. You need recipes in your collection, not just to expand the cafe's menu, but also because some of the game's quests will require you to cook specific foods to advance the story. You can't go on forever with just the same sunny side up egg recipe you start off with. You cook in Little Dragon's Cafe with a rhythm minigame, tapping directional buttons to the beat of the music, and the better you do at the game, the better the recipe. The better the recipe, the more people will like it, and will order it when they visit the cafe, and so the quicker you'll run out of ingredients for it, which keeps you in this never-ending loop of trying to balance ingredients in storage with what people are most likely to order. You get reports at the end of each day to see what sold well, what ingredients you're low on, and you can change up the menu at any time to keep things fresh and to keep your stockpile of ingredients from getting low too quickly, but honestly, I'm making more of this than it probably needs to be made. I mean, new pieces of story unfold when your cafe hits certain points of reputation, and the better your food, the quicker that goes. But I usually can hit that reputation cap long before the story could possibly advance, because I'm in the middle of other quest lines. You could serve only a couple of mediocre recipes and still move the game along at a reasonably steady pace, and save yourself a whole load of trouble, rather than attempting to fill out all of your menu slots with fancy dishes. In a way, this allows you to make the game as easy or as difficult as you like. If you want to make high-ranked dishes with rare ingredients that are hard to get, then go for it, nothing to stop you. If you want to just have a few things for customers to eat that use really common ingredients, that works too. None of the cafe's customers actually pay you money for the food, so it's not like you have to maximize profits as well as balance ingredient stores, so it's really customizable for the sort of game experience you want to have. And honestly, that's really nice. It makes the game more accessible to a wide variety of skill levels and can give you exactly the challenge that you want in that regard. Honestly though, helping out in the cafe is one of the least interesting aspects of the game, at least in my opinion. Sometimes things get busy there, and though you have other people working there, you'll still need to step in because the employees are troublesome. Every once in a while, they'll just stop working. And I don't mean that the game glitches out and they won't do what they're supposed to do. I mean they'll just stop working according to their personalities. Billy will go slack off and play music, Ipanema will sulk in a corner, Lucola will get all melancholy and not cook for a while, and your brother, well, he just zones out and sweeps the same spot over and over again. They will break out of these moods over time, but when they're not working, orders are piling up, stuff's not being done, customers can leave unhappy, and your cafe's reputation will suffer as a result. So it's up to you, as the only responsible one, to snap them out of their moods by talking to them, all while taking orders, serving food, clearing away plates, and also getting pushed back from the place you were going, because collision detection is serious business, and goddammit, I just want to put this order through, why are you pushing me halfway across the cafe with you? This is honestly the most frustrating part of the game. Later on, the cafe becomes so full of customers that moving around them to take orders, serve meals, and clean up becomes a chore, one which is made doubly irritating by the fact that the other workers will just push you if you get in their path. I can't count the number of times I was delayed in a task because Billy or Ipanema couldn't walk around me and I was stuck moving in the direction they were going, only to be 2 steps from serving a meal before the customer walked out in disgust because the food was taking too long to get there. And in the later parts of the game, you will often spend the bulk of your day doing this stuff because there are just so many people coming in. You finish cleaning up after the lunch rush, and then the supper rush starts trickling in. Then you start running out of ingredients because you haven't been out to gather more, and you have to hurriedly change the menu, and it made the last few chapters of the game a chore, one of those things that I just wanted to get over and done with so that I could stop playing and move on to something else. The game is fun in many ways, but when it's tedious, it is fucking tedious. For every moment you're helping out in the cafe and getting frustrated by other employees getting in your way, you're not out gathering ingredients or recipe fragments or exploring the island, and exploration is the best part of Little Dragon's Cafe. There are so many different areas to explore, and the more your dragon companion grows up, the more you'll be able to find. You start off with access to a relatively small area, naturally, with a limited number of ingredients to collect. But then your dragon grows up a bit and you can push rocks so you can jump onto ledges that were previously inaccessible, or break down piles of sticks that are covering up recipe fragments, or even fly and glide. It's really fun to have the world expand for you like that, and every time your dragon gets more abilities, going out and exploring becomes more and more appealing. You don't want to be stuck smacking your brother upside the head so he goes back to doing his job. You want to be out riding your freaking dragon and searching out new places that haven't been seen yet, looking for adventure and food around every new corner. For me, this is the best part of Little Dragon's Cafe, the exploration. figuring out how to get places that were previously inaccessible, seeing what new ingredients I can gather, or what recipes I can piece together. I love the different landscapes, even if they're mostly the same. But the pink area has lots of little pools and waterfalls, and the rocky area near the top of the island has cool plants that you can't find elsewhere, and there's enough to make it really feel like you're actually seeing different things, and not just finding an unexplored area of the same old thing, if you catch my meaning. Also, the different landscapes have their own music, and I'm not gonna lie, I kinda love the soundtrack for this game. From the bouncy music played inside the cafe during the day, to the music you hear in the Yellow Hilly area. Every track feels fitting for the situation and location, and it's all really well done. I could listen to this music for hours. I mean, I have. I played hours of the game. I think it says a lot that the ambient music didn't once feel stale or irritating. As your dragon grows, Pappy will also magically expand the building, turning it from a simple cafe to an inn with an attic where your dragon can sleep, because dragons absolutely need to stay warm and comfy. This is mostly a cosmetic thing, honestly. The cafe area downstairs stays the same size throughout, so no matter how many customers come through, it's really just a visual thing and to give characters a place to stay while you sort out all their problems in life. I kind of feel bad for my mother. You know, when she wakes up, she's going to wake up to a completely different building than she left, and that is going to be a shock. You might have noticed all the different colors of the dragon during this video, and no, I'm not cobbling together bits of other people's playthroughs of this game. Your dragon changes color based on the food that it eats. It has a limited amount of stamina that gets used up by flying or breaking stuff or hunting for meat inside small caves, and you feed it cooked food to restore that stamina. And also because it's a good dragon who deserves good food. Different recipes affect the color that your dragon will turn over time. The recipes that affect it will be marked with the appropriate color, and it's not just a simple matter of being able to have a dragon that's either red or blue or green. No, you can feed your dragon a mix of red and blue foods to have it be a purple dragon, for instance, or green and blue for a dragon that's more teal. It's a really cool system, and since there's no benefit I can see to feeding your dragon other than restoring stamina and changing color, then you're free to customize your dragon in the way that you see fit. Feeding your dragon lots of meals to change its color also means plenty of opportunities to play that rhythm minigame I mentioned earlier, and while it's not exactly super complicated, I have to admit that when I'm making like 10 of the same recipe over and over, it might have been nice if there was some sort of auto option for this. Like, yes, use all of the same ingredients as last time, and also skip the part where I press directional buttons to a tune please, because that tune is getting on my nerves a little. I know that chances are this isn't the case because it encourages players to improve their coordination as they go, but come on, I'm getting everything done as best as it can be done. Do I really need to keep doing it over and over and over and over again? Also, you can pet and hug your dragon. 10 out of 10, best game, would play again. Earlier, I mentioned how this game has a story and quests, and it does go beyond merely waiting for time to pass before your mom wakes up. Every so often, a rather unique individual will make their way to the cafe, and they'll have problems in their life, and it's your job to fix those problems. Usually with food and morality. But mostly food. These people range from a kid who idolizes a man who isn't the hero he claims to be, to a cat debating whether or not they want to continue with their idol group, to a thief who steals from the rich because he grew up poor and believes that all the rich got their money through unfair dirty dealings. And inevitably, their problems are often fixed by making them a specific recipe that gives them inspiration or nostalgia and convinces them to do the right and responsible thing in their lives. Not gonna lie, it's super wholesome, and I kinda love it. A lot of the life lessons are things that can be appreciated by kids and adults alike, even if sometimes they come across as a bit heavy-handed. It's still easy to sink into the narrative and appreciate the way that these characters are struggling with relatable problems and others are trying to help them. We don't all need to be snobby witches to learn that maybe those who aren't exactly like us are still worthy of respect. We don't need to be werewolves to struggle with aspects of ourselves that we find unappealing or frightening. Sometimes I just get in the mood for a game that's wholesome in this exact way, which gives me problems that are undeniably complex, but also gives me characters who are supportive and caring. But what I really enjoy about all these characters who show up with problems for me to fix is that their stories are all intertwined. For instance, Huey the werewolf remembers that the first time he transformed, he awoke in the mountains being tended to by an old man he wishes he could find again and thank. Later on, we meet Genji the thief, the little old man who later sees Huey and is all, "Hey, I remember you from that time I took care of you on the mountain." Rosetta recalls seeing a deaf woman about to be hit by a car and a man calling out to her in an attempt to warn her, eventually getting hit by the car as he attempts to save the woman. Later, we encounter Maurice, a ghost who recalls his old girlfriend who could never hear very well. While each person's story is unique, they all connect to someone else's story in some way, even if it's something small like just two characters having a mutual friend. It's kind of cool to see that sort of interconnectivity without having it be that absolutely everyone is tied to some grand overarching plot. Sometimes people just know each other from other times and places. On the whole, I'm pretty fond of Little Dragon's Cafe. The characters may cross the line into caricatures at times, and certain aspects get annoying as hell during the game's later sections, but in general, I enjoyed my time with it. It's a cute and pretty wholesome life sim/management game with a fantasy flavor, and it's a great game to just pick up and play for 15 minutes or 3 hours depending on what you're looking for. It may not have a lot of depth, but it's got a whole lot of charm, and is worth playing if you're into life sim type games. Also, if you don't play it, Prooms will be angry. You don't want to make Prooms angry, do you? Didn't think so. Hey, thanks for watching the video right to the end. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors and to Cass McPhee as my top tier Patreon supporter. If you want to get in on that action, there's a link in the description below, and you can check out some of the perks I have lined up for my supporters. But even if that's not something you're into, leaving a like or a comment or sharing this video around is also greatly appreciated. It lets me know I'm doing something that people are interested in, and it helps this channel grow. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with another video. Happy gaming!